please hit the like button. Go ahead and sub to the channel if you're not a member. Also hit them notifications so that you're able to get all of my content as well as all of my videos. Also want to give a shout out to the whole entire Lions Den basketball as well as boxing communities. Also want to salute to all of my subs that's been rocking with me, day ones, as well as my new subs too. All right. Be sure that you're sharing this video. I do want everybody to hear this video, good, bad, and ugly, okay? Because I know that there's going to be a lot of good, bad, and ugly comments as far as what people feel in this situation, or at least what people think that they feel, okay? So if you're rocking with me, I'll give y'all a minute to go ahead and get up in here. And then after that, then we'll go ahead and we'll tackle this subject right now, okay? Um, I hope everybody feeling good. Hope everybody having a good weekend so far. It's a Labor Day weekend. We got many families that's outside barbecuing, putting some meat on the grill, that sort of thing. We got a lot of people that, just taking it easy or whatever. And we got a lot of people that, of course, are eyeing college football because it is a big weekend for college football. This is the debut for a lot of teams. But I'm still on the grind regardless, okay? And we definitely got to talk about this situation that was said, okay? So, like I said, man, I'll give a couple minutes for people to get up in here. Then we'll go ahead and I'll put y'all on game and also give my opinion as to what Robert Parrish had to say about MJ too as well, okay? Please hit the like when you come in here, okay? Also, salute to all of my haters too that come through. I appreciate y'all too. We have, plenty of them. We got people, that want to diminish everything. What's up, Stephen Green? I got a couple of them. One, believe it or not, in which Colorado getting ready to play next week is Nebraska. Okay, then I also liked Penn State. I got a couple of teams, but I was more in the players in terms of college. I never really was in the team, but the team that I used to focus on was Nebraska. But we're not talking about that though. Okay, let's stay to the subject. Okay, and if you don't want to talk about this, want to talk about something else, we'll get on that in a whole minute. But we got to talk about the situation regarding Robert Parrish, okay? All right. Now, first and foremost, let me give a shout out to the brother Too Raw for TV once again. He was the one that I saw talking about this. If you're not sub to Too Raw for TV, definitely go sub to the brother Too Raw for TV. Top historian, in my opinion, on YouTube. And on top of that, he had multiple platforms and one of the frontline guys in the LDBC, Lions Den basketball and boxing community. So salute to Tura for the great work in which he did on this particular subject. Now, in case you don't know, Robert Parrish came out on record and basically had said that the great MJ cannot be the GOAT because he did not beat any great teams. And then he also mentioned the fact, in which I mentioned the other day, I did mention that, he said that when him and Kevin McHale and Larry Bird were all in their primes, he never could get past them, which is true. I will give him that. He couldn't get past them. And then he also said that when Isaiah and Joe Dumars and the Pistons and the Crew, when they had got older, that's when he finally beat them. And then he also said the same sentiment in terms of the Lakers too as well. When they had got older and past their primes and Kareem was gone, then he got past the Lakers, okay? Chief, as they call Robert Parrish, the Chief, let's take it back from the beginning, okay? I got a lot of love for you, got a lot of respect for you, okay? But Chief, let's just call it what it is. Didn't nobody know who you were when you was in Golden State. A lot of people didn't even know that you played for Golden State. The only people that probably knew that you played for Golden State were the people that was on that team, and if they actually did some research on you. But other than that, one can actually say that, let's just call it what it is, that you were riding the coattail of both one, Larry Bird, okay, and also Kevin McHale. And a lot of people say that you rode a coattail of DJ too. Because to be honest with you, before the great, God rest his soul, Dennis Johnson had even touched the parquet floor in Boston and became the point guard, guess what? He was already a champion coming over from Seattle, okay? You didn't accomplish anything before you had got there. What's up with it, Cottage? I see you in the building. Now, Chief, man, you also know, what's up with it, Alex? I see you in here. Listen, let's just call it what it is, man. You didn't accomplish nearly what Michael Jordan had set to accomplish. Matter of fact, you didn't even accomplish what Kevin McHale or Larry Bird had accomplished either when we talk about that tandem, right? Matter of fact, some people see you as just a glorified role player, okay? It's just the fact that you happen to actually play with the Boston Celtics. Now, to take you back and to list some of the honors that Robert Parrish had, you know, he made second and third team All NBA and was a 9-time All-Star and was a 4-time champion. But let's not forget one of those championships you rode the coattail your final year where you played 43 games only of Michael Jordan. Okay? All right? Actually, he got 4 rings, Stephen. He got 4 rings. He got 3 with Boston. He got 1 with the Chicago Bulls. He got that one in 97. Okay, so what does that make you? You pretty much always rode the coattail. But the reason why I say that you did ride the coattail of your front court mate, which was Kevin McHale. Kevin McHale was a 3-time all-defensive first teamer. You were none of that. Kevin McHale also had won six man of the year twice. You were none of that. And on top of that, Kevin McHale was all NBA first team. Not one, not two, not three, none of that. No, he was first team. So if in terms of the accolades and in terms of what Kevin McHale did, one could say that Kevin McHale had a better defining career than you. We all know what Larry Bird did. There's no need to talk about that. The fact that he got 3 MVPs straight, 3 straight years, that says enough. Okay. Then on top of that, let's talk about this fact right here too, right? Listen, Robert Parrish. Everybody likes to talk about all these off the court issues that everybody had, whether it's Jordan and his gambling, okay, whether it's Charles Barkley and him throwing guys out of the window. Even on football, when they talk about the Ray Lewis situation, when they talk about the Ray Rice situation, when they talk about the Michael Vick situation, we could take it back to the early 80s, which nobody wants to talk about, and they kind of want to sweep this under the rug, Chief. And you were quiet on the court, okay? You knew martial arts, and they knew not to mess with you and everything. But what a lot of people don't know is the domestic violence situation that took place between you and your wife in the early 80s when you was in LA, in which you grabbed your wife by the neck and shoved her against the wall in the hallway. You know? You don't want to talk about that, do you, Chief? Now, I didn't mean to get personal or anything like that, but Chief, if you're going to come and you're going to say something about the great, you said is Robert Parrish underrated. Robert Parrish is what it is. I mean, he is the Hall of Famer. You got to give him that. He did help win the titles and everything. But in order for you to say something about the great Michael Jeffrey Jordan, you got to at least have the credentials to talk about that. And then you always want to talk about, Jordan not getting past this person, not getting past this person. He didn't play any great team. The Supersonics were a great team. They were just young. And actually, Michael Jordan had actually struggled in that series against the Sonics or whatever. Now, you saying that you could keep up with a young, dominant, uh, damn near 7 foot guy in Sean Kemp that could leap out the gym? No, you couldn't, because you could barely get up off the floor. You saying that you could keep up with a Gary Payton who had the court vision as well as the defensive hawk mentality and or will pick your cookies in a minute and could play great on the ball defense. That's why they call him the glove. You got to be smoking. And on top of that, coupled with a whole bunch of role players, such as the Datler Shrimp, such as the Hersey Hawkins, who was a little bit past his prime, such as the Nate McMillan, and so on and so forth. Okay, y'all wouldn't have been able to keep up with them because they would have ran y'all out of the gym, which is why y'all couldn't even keep up with Chicago, back then. And you went ahead and you you decided to get jump on the squad with Michael Jordan in '97. Okay, which is well, they actually won in '96, but that very next year after you came from Charlotte, you had jumped on the team. You said Robin won titles in his later years, Jordan titles in his prime. Parrish, you need to shut up. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You said Parrish was flat-footed on the court. Yeah, he was. He was. And listen, athleticism ain't everything. Hell, Kevin McHale wasn't athletic, but he knew how to utilize his moves and was very effective in the paint. He actually had, for that time, that he actually had a good repertoire in terms of the post play. Robert Parrish, to me, he's similar to Bill Cartwright. Only difference is that he was able to, like I said, ride the coattail of both Larry Bird, DJ, and as well as Kevin McHale. Okay, yes, he does have 3 titles, but he has the stat line of 14-9. Okay, what you have to realize is that you never made a first team all defensive player team, and to me that stands out. You never made all NBA first team. You was only on second and third. Okay, so Michael Jordan, he basically blew that out of the window. Matter of fact, Michael Jordan was the steals leader. Michael Jordan was the defensive player of the year. Michael Jordan was the defensive player of the year and MVP in the same season, one of which only 2 other players were able to do. Oh, actually 3. Okay, when we talk about Hakeem, when we talk about Giannis, and when we talk about David Robinson. Parrish, you're not in any of that. You're lucky to even be on the squad and be mentioned with Larry Bird. To be honest with you, nobody knew who you were. What other team did Robert Parrish play for? I'll wait. See, some of y'all don't even know that, but he played for Golden State. Before that, they didn't know who you were. Yeah, you put up, I think it was 12 and 17. You put up 12 one year, 17 the next, or it was like 16 and 17 one year, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But didn't nobody know who you were until you got to Boston. They always knew who Michael Jordan was. Okay. Now, did Michael Jordan have his flaws? Yes. He did have his flaws or whatever. But the fact that you're sitting up here saying that he did not go against no great teams, that's cap. Listen, the Detroit Pistons, they weren't old. If you go look at their ages, I think the average age of the Pistons was about 26, 27 years old, if that. That's not old. As a matter of fact, some people feel like that's in your prime, but you also have to realize that back then they were playing a lot less because of the physicality of the game. But that's still no excuse because they were not old and they were still young enough to keep up with the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, I was just saying that though, Ted, because a lot of people don't know that he played with the Warriors, and I was just saying that a lot of people don't know that he played for both of those teams. They didn't know that who Robert Parrish was until he got to the Celtics. Now, if you Google it and then you go back and you'll be like, oh, holy shit, he played for the Golden State Warriors. That's the only way that you're gonna know. Other than that, you didn't know that Robert Parrish had played for the Golden State Warriors. The only thing you knew him was in Boston. Let's just call it what it is. If you took Larry Bird off of that team, if you take Kevin McHale off that team, if you take DJ off of that team, would you know who Robert Parrish is? Hell, could he be a center that could actually lead the team like a Hakeem Olajuwon, like a David Robinson, like Alonzo Mourning, like a Shaquille O'Neal, like a Wilt Chamberlain, like a Moses Malone? No, wouldn't be able to do any of that. So man, just stay in your place, man. Stay in your place. I got a lot of respect for you, Chief. I don't like what you did back in the early '80s in terms of grabbing your wife by the throat, shoving her against the wall. Something that nobody wants to talk about, But they want to talk about Ray Rice, the incident in the elevator, swinging it back to the NFL. They want to talk about all this domestic dispute. They want to sit up there and do pretty much tarnish the legacy of Kobe Bryant, in which he did nowhere near what you did. The only thing he did was, step outside of his marriage or whatever, and had consensual sex with a woman who claimed that it wasn't consensual. But in your case, it was domestic violence. You shoved your lady up against the wall. You were damn near about to choke her. Y'all don't want to talk about that though, huh? Now look, man, nobody's perfect, but I'm saying if we're gonna sit there and we're gonna call a spade, you got to bring up that fact too. That don't have nothing to do with basketball, but what it does have to do with is what I'm saying is if you were at that level or even higher, they would have brought something like that up. But you see with Michael Jordan, they try to tarnish his image because they always bring up the fact about his father and the gambling issue and everything. They always talk about how he punched Steve Kerr and stuff like that, or they'll do the same thing for Kobe. They'll talk about the fact the whole Colorado incident. They'll talk about the fact of how Kobe was an asshole, or they'll talk about all he did was used to hog the rock, or just various different things to try to destroy his image. With you just lucky to be on the squad. They don't even hardly mention you. See, listen, they always mention Bird, McHale, then Parrish. That's what the order usually is. Myself, to be honest with you, and if we really want to be real, I think DJ was he was most important next to Larry Bird, and then of course McHale. But when we talk about DJ, and I'm talking about Dennis Johnson, Dennis Johnson was running the show, and he was able to sacrifice when he came from teams like Phoenix, and he came from teams like Seattle or whatever. He had already came there with championship pedigree. Okay, Robert Parrish, you didn't come with a championship pedigree. Michael Jordan had already had a championship pedigree. Parrish would get mad at you for bringing up that about hands on a woman, but it is what it is. That's what he did. You can't do nothing to change it. So I'm saying if you're going to sit up there and we're going to talk, and like I said, that has nothing to do with basketball, but what I was making a point, okay, and we have to really learn to listen, okay. That's what I'm saying. My point is that you weren't popular enough to even be talked about in that instance. They didn't even really bring it up. You see how nobody brings it up, but see, when you talk about Jordan, hey, people gonna bring up the sketchy past about his gambling and his pops and all that other stuff. When you talk about O.J. Simpson, guess what? They talk about the murder, right? When you talk about Ray Lewis, guess what? You talk about the murder, right? You know what I'm saying? There's always going to bring something. He may have not done it. I think he's innocent or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But there's some people that think that he's not. Then when we talk about Kobe, guess what? You got Candace Owens still trying to diminish his legacy even when he is in the ground. But when you talk about Robert Parrish, nobody even really talks about that, do they? Salute to you, JMJ. You said, "Want this the same Robert Parrish that played on the same Bulls team?" Yeah, and I said that earlier, JMJ. Salute to you. That's what I was saying. You rode the coattail and was able to get your fourth ring. You know what I'm saying? You went ahead and you eased your way out of it. And matter of fact, you didn't even play all the games. You only played 43 games. It wasn't like you was a great factor or anything like that, man. Only thing you probably did was really did chief some weed or whatever and come to the game or whatever. They didn't need to utilize you, nor John Sally, guys like that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So Robert Parrish, man, you ought to be thanking Michael Jordan more than anything for getting you that fourth ring. Him, Pippen, and Rodman, because if you'd have left Charlotte and went anywhere else or whatever, you wasn't gonna win no ring during that era. And I gotta keep it a stat. Listen, a lot of people they look at his age and they're like, oh man, how could you say that about Robert Parrish and stuff like that? But it is what it is. Listen, you talking about the same Michael Jordan that used to come to Boston without that much help and still put up 63 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You talking about the same Michael Jordan that was able to beat. Now he did beat Isaiah and he did beat Magic or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He didn't beat Magic and Kareem. I mean, he used to damage and destruct those guys, but in the '80s, yeah, you were right. He wasn't winning, but it was Michael Jordan's time. You know what I'm saying? Now a lot of guys are salty, and the media got you thinking like this. Whether it's Ant Man, whether it's Gilbert Arenas, whether it's any of these guys. Now everybody trying to tarnish the image of Michael Jordan or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you don't have Michael Jordan as the GOAT, which a lot of Pistons fans don't, which a lot of Celtics fans don't, maybe even a lot of Lakers fans don't either. You know what I'm saying? But you can't sit up here and you can't further try to diminish it and say that he didn't play no great teams. You said, "Oh, okay, thanks, straight. I must have came in late trying to pay bills." No, it's all right. It's all right. When I finish this live or whatever, you could go ahead and rewind it back and watch it from the beginning. You know, but like I said, Robert Parrish and some of these other guys, man. You said and Phil Jackson helped MJ and Pippen win chips too in Chicago. Yeah, because Phil Jackson knew how to manage personalities. As a matter of fact, Michael Jordan had a tough time, just like Kobe, just like Shaq did, trying to adapt to and trying to buy into what Phil Jackson was selling. He had a tough time having to adapt to that. And I could talk about all this because, I had the luxury of and the pleasure of actually growing up during that period of time. Michael Jordan wasn't as liked as people think. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that couldn't stand Michael Jordan. The same, the same hate that Kobe Bryant had experienced. A lot of the hate that LeBron had, and I'm talking about, close to that magnitude. Michael Jordan had received the hate too. You know what I'm saying? There was at one point in his career where Michael Jordan was the villain, but now then again on the flip side, you had a lot of people that saw him as a hero too. You know what I'm saying? But there was a lot of people that really wanted to beat Michael Jordan. And even though I'm a Michael Jordan fan, I'm able to be objective and to be able to tell you that. A lot of people won't admit that about LeBron James if they're a LeBron James fan. A lot of people won't admit that about Kobe if they're a Kobe Bryant fan. A lot of people won't admit that about Kareem if they're a Kareem fan. There was a lot of people that hated Kareem. It was a lot of people that hated Wilt. It was a lot of people that hated, Oscar Robinson. And a lot of people that couldn't stand Bill Russell. It was a lot of people that hated Larry Bird. It was a lot of people that didn't like, the Pistons, of course. You know what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. Michael Jordan fell in that category too. Hell, there was a lot of people that didn't like the Lakers. They didn't like Magic Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of people were, when Magic Johnson had got HIV, there were a lot of people that were saying all sorts of stuff about him, talking about the joke, talking about all this stuff that wasn't even basketball related. You said I don't think Parrish no, he is in the Hall of Fame. He is a Hall of Famer. He is in the Hall of Fame. Okay, he's a Hall of Famer and he's a nine-time All Star. You know, But like I said, that's over. That's a lot of that is overstated. And in terms of individual accolades, things of that nature, I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame and everything, but you know, I mean, you said Parrish is just jealous. Yeah, it's a lot of jealousy, it's a lot of envy or whatever. But really, man, you really don't have any. Really, if anything, man, you should be thanking Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? You need to be thanking Michael Jordan. You need to be thanking Larry Bird, and you need to be thanking Kevin McHale and DJ because without them guys, let's just call it what it is. You wouldn't have had no championship. You wouldn't have had no championship. Kevin McHale, let's just call it what it is. He was a better player than Robert Parrish. He was a better player than Robert Parrish. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Kevin McHale had moves for that time. Kevin McHale had moves. You know what I'm saying? He had incredible footwork. The up and under post moves, post play. Kevin McHale was that guy, and that's why he was a three-time first team All Defensive. That's why he was a first team All NBA. I think it was in '87. You know what I'm saying? And I think he was to my knowledge, I think he was a six-time All Star. I'm talking about Kevin McHale. He was a six-time All Star. Only, only reason, of course, Parrish. He was a nine-time All Star. I could be wrong. Just check it, and see if I'm right. And then plus he was a two-time six-man of the year. Kevin McHale was. He didn't mind coming off the bench. See, that's the thing. Kevin McHale was still able to come off the bench and still be impressive. A lot of guys think, oh yeah, just because I come off the bench, that's a knock on my career or something like that. Sometimes he went to the finals the year before he got HIV. Yeah, he did. But Magic was, he was still great regardless. But spinning the block, talking about Robert Parrish again. Robert Parrish, man, you got to stop being salty. And like I said, you need to thank the great Michael Jordan, uh, for allowing you to ride on his train, so to speak. Um, pause. When you were in Chicago to go ahead and get that ring. Yeah, he was. He was pretty good for his era. And like I said, man, all of those guys were good for their era. I still got respect for Robert Parrish, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Before you sit up there, you say you didn't like the Celtics. A lot of people didn't like the Celtics. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't no fan of the Celtics, especially me being a Sixers fan. If you're a Bulls fan, you don't like the Celtics. If you're a New York fan, you don't like the Celtics. If you're a Chicago fan, you don't like the Celtics. If you're a Pistons fan, you don't like the Celtics. You know what I'm saying? Anybody on the East, you did not like the Celtics. No, the Lakers, of course, on the West, you definitely didn't like the Celtics. Excuse me, man. I'm dealing with allergies. But nobody really liked the Celtics. But Robert Parrish, man, you gotta be thankful and grateful and humble yourself in this situation. What you should have said is you should have been like, look, I'm grateful for the opportunity that MJ had gave me for allowing me to get my fourth ring. What you should have said is, hey, although he didn't beat us or whatever, Michael Jordan is still great and was great, in his era. But you saying that, he isn't the GOAT, which is his opinion. A lot of people feel that way. You can't just say that just because, oh yeah, he didn't beat any great teams, because that's not true. No matter how you want to slice it, you're sitting up in there, you're talking about Phoenix, right? Now, he did say this. He said Phoenix only had one Hall of Famer. Well, a lot of people feel like, and of course he's talking about Charles Barkley, but a lot of people feel like Kevin Johnson was a Hall of Famer. And Kevin Johnson, if we're gonna consider guys in Hall of Fame and that are Hall of Fame worthy, Kevin Johnson by far deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Would y'all agree or disagree? And on top of that, you act like Thunder Dan Marley was a slouch or was a scrub. No, he wasn't. You act like a young Tony Dumas was a scrub. No, he wasn't. You act like Cedric Sabalos before he ultimately got hurt. You act like he was a slouch or a scrub. No, he wasn't. You act like I think Tom Chambers was on that team. Now Tom Chambers, he was a little bit older and everything, but back in the days, Tom Chambers would get buckets on you and be able to dunk on you like he did Mark Jackson. Tom Chambers was that guy. A lot of people feel like Tom Chambers should be in the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? So the Phoenix Suns, man, they had a good squad, man. They had a chance. They almost could have won, but they ran into Michael Jordan, who was starting to really evolve his game and mature during that time. Michael Jordan was still athletic, but his maturity started to come into play, and you could really see it in his game. His understanding was starting to evolve in terms of him. Okay, I know when to turn it on and when to turn it off, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the Phoenix Suns, they were lights out. They could play physical. You know what I'm saying? I think they had Wayman Tisdale on there too. God rest his soul. They had Wayman Tisdale. They had the Phoenix Suns had a squad, man. They had a squad, man. You know what I'm saying? And then you talk about the Lakers and you talk about the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers were constantly going into either the Western Conference Finals or going into the finals. Of course, when they met the Bulls. You know what I'm saying? The Portland Trailblazers. One could say that they had a good balance. You had good point guard play when you talk about the great Terry Porter and a young Rod Strickland a little bit later on. You had a Clyde Drexler who was considered, sometimes two, sometimes three, when it comes to the shooting guard. Hold on. The Portland Trail Blazers were that team. You you had a young Jerome Kersey, God rest his soul. You had a young Cliff Robinson, God rest his soul, and then you had Buck Williams. And I know y'all look at those guys. Oh man, those guys were just role players, all this other stuff. No, those guys could hoop. Those guys could really hoop. Plus, I like their uniforms too. I used to like the Blazers uniform. You know what I'm saying? I used to love the Blazers uniform. You know what I'm saying? Then when you talk about Utah, everybody think like Utah just because all they had was Stockton and Malone. We don't remember nobody and all this other. No, man, Utah could really hoop. That's why they were consistently in the finals. You had a Karl Malone, who I'm not really a big fan of, but you got to give him respect on the court or whatever, man. You had an MVP in Karl Malone. Nobody could keep up with Carmelo. If they were that bad, you know what I'm saying, they wouldn't have been able to beat some of those teams that they beat in the Western Conference, which were good there during that time. You talking about Seattle? You talking about you talking about Phoenix? Talking about H Town? You talking about you know what I'm saying? The Supersonics. You said you met Kevin Johnson in '89. You met Kevin Johnson in '89. Damn, bro. Steven, how old are you, man? God damn. How old are you, bro? Yeah, Steven, you was a grown man in '89? Oh, well, you met him when you was a kid. And see, a lot of people don't know this. Kevin Johnson had his own squad. He had his own shoe. He definitely he was always good for 10 assists every game. And Stephen Green, I'm thinking you met him when he was a kid, or when you was a kid, or when you was a grown man. I'm like, it's '89. I mean, that's '89. It's 2024. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn. I'm not to put you on blast or nothing, but I'm like, damn, you. Hold on one sec. You said '89. Just See here, you skipped over that question, Steven. But I'll let you get away with it, man. I was asking how old you were. He don't want to. He don't want to tell nobody how old he is. He don't want to get exposed right now. You said '89 Suns just couldn't beat the Lakers. Nah, they couldn't. They couldn't, man. But what's his name had his own shoe. KJ had his own shoe. I think KJ was with Converse. I remember when KJ was with Converse, if I'm not mistaken, because they had a commercial. I remember the commercial they had with KJ. KJ was that guy. KJ uh, was, and I had put it in a community post. I mean, he was dunking on Hakeem Olajuwon. KJ wasn't nothing but 6 foot, 6'1". You know what I'm saying? He was dunking on John Hot Rod Williams. John Hot Rod Williams was like 7 foot. I mean, this guy was full of athleticism. I mean, he could pass. He was one of the premier point guard during that time. Yeah, he was. I said that earlier. Tom Chambers when he played for the Seattle Supersonics. You know what I'm saying? And then when he also played with the Suns, a young, because he ended up playing. He ended up going back. I think to Phoenix. He was older when he played for Phoenix again. But yeah, Tom Chambers, man, it was high flyer, man. That man, when he did that dunk, what I'm saying, that famous dunk where it looked like he double jumped in the air, like he was looking like Teen Wolf, like Michael J. Fox. I don't know if y'all ever seen that movie, but yeah, Teen Wolf, man, that's what he kind of looked like when he dunked on it when he dunked on Mark Jackson. That's what he looked like. But yeah, man, Robert Parrish, man, he you know I know, yeah, I know people have their opinions and stuff like that, man. But you sound really salty on that one, and it sounds like you just jumping on the train. You said Phoenix Suns 88 through 96, a great team. Yeah, yeah, that was a great team, but they never, and my guy Hitman X could attest to this. Shout out to Hitman X. Uh, Phoenix always, they always were a competitive team. They um, just couldn't quite get over that hump. Finals, they would go to the finals, but they just could never win it.